Many of my clients tell me that they're not good volleyers. And when I ask them why they think that, they mostly have the same answers. I'm getting past all the time, or I'm missing a lot of volleys. My first thought is, are you really getting past all the time? And my second thought is that it may not actually be their actual volley that prevents them from being good volleyers. It's really more their positioning that's the culprit when they lose a lot of points at net. Oftentimes they're in a place on the court where it's really tough to hit a forcing volley or even a point-ending volley. Basically, they're in positions where John McEnroe would have a hard time doing anything with those balls. It can become quite tricky to figure out what exactly is holding back your net game. But that's where we have the solution with the SwingVision app, the sponsor of this video. In today's video, I'm going to use the submissions of 2 players from the SwingVision app to analyze exactly what some of the biggest issues are that keep players back from being good volleyers. And if you haven't started watching your own matches, this is the right time to do it, because the SwingVision app really makes it so easy to use and actually quite fun to analyze your own game that I would really highly recommend that you start watching yourself on film. And if you want to take advantage of the really generous offer of SwingVision to throw in a free swing stick, it's worth $100, use the link down below in the description. It comes with a 60-day money-back guarantee and for the first time, free global shipping. When you review your matches, you got the match score here. You got your shot placement heat map. You see also what type of shot it is. You got the description of that shot as well. And then you got the pace of the ball. You have your AI highlights right here, but you also got the most tiring rallies, the longest rallies, and you got your own serves, returns, forehands, and backhands. In the match stats, you see every single thing that you also see on TV, broken down point by point. The point history here allows you to jump into individual points. So if you're looking for something specific, all you do is click on the go button here and it takes you right into the match. And then you got the shot stats. And then you got the heat maps here, shot placement of yourself and your opponent. You got the same for the hitting position, and this is what I found really helpful here for Cyrus's volley play. I can filter out the forehand and backhand ground strokes, and that leaves me with the volley heat map here. And then of course you also have the serve placement. One function that I use a lot, and I did use it again here for this video, I wanted to see obviously Cyrus's volleys, so I'm just clicking on him here. And then I wanted to focus on the volley, so I simply click volley here, overhead here, done, done. And then I see 7 points here, and I can just go through them point by point. My dad was my first tennis coach, and I'm going to share a bunch of his tips that he gave me when I was really, really little. And actually really didn't have too much business coming net because I was way too small. But learning the fundamentals so early on allowed me to become a great volleyer later on in my career. So let's get started. One of the first tips, and maybe the simplest, was that I should forget that these lines, the middle line here and the service line, have any use in the remainder of the point once the serve has been called in or out. What do these lines actually have to do with volleying? They should have absolutely nothing to do with volleys, yet they seem to be 2 kinds of force fields that keep players from getting into their ideal volley position. The middle line is a force field that seems to suck in players, and the service line seems to kind of repel players and keeps them from closing in when they should. Let's look at the first player, Clarence, who's submitted his videos using the SwingVision app to me. We've got Clarence here in the background. He will come up to net in a second here. He's doing a great job setting up the point. With this ball here, he's earning a short ball, and here's where we can slow it down. And you see now where he's hitting his approach shot. He's going towards the ad side. And if we stop it right here, ideally he would split step as his opponent is making contact. He's running kind of right through there, but that's not the biggest issue. You notice here, he's coming straight to the midline. And as his opponent is making contact, he has 2 most extreme shots available to him. One is a down line, and 2 is a pretty extreme angle. Ideally, Clarence would want to be in this position here on the bisector of an angle. From that position, he roughly would have the same number of steps or the same distance to either one of those most extreme passing shots. But since he's running right into the force field of the midline, leaves the down the line wide open and allows his opponent to sneak that ball by him from, I would want to say, a pretty bad position here. So instead of coming in and automatically moving to the middle line, make sure that you follow the ball towards the half that you hit your approach shots to. My dad always told me that the ball is attached to a rope that is connected to me, and that I should just let the ball pull me towards the part of the court that I'm attacking. So if I'm attacking the outside of the court, I need to follow up the ball towards the outside of the court. And the further out I'm pulling my opponent, the more I need to slide over. And of course, the same goes when I'm attacking the deuce court. I'm following it up towards the deuce court. The only time I really come to the middle is actually when I hit my approach shot straight through the middle, which sometimes is not a bad option because it takes away angles from my opponent. Let's talk about the second force field that prevents players from getting into an ideal volley position. The service line. When you're coming in, ignore the service line until after you passed it. Do not let it repel you. Ideally, for your first volley, you want to be inside the service box, because if you volley from here, these are really difficult volleys, and a lot of times because they're really low. But also a transition volley from somewhere back here, also very tough. Here we have our second player, Cyrus, who's coming in and hesitates. To my mind, he could have come in on this ball already. You do see how deep that ball is, his positioning. He has 2 feet inside the court, but he's kind of hesitating there a little bit. And now look at this ball here. He's still waiting. Clearly his opponent is in trouble here. And instead of bursting forward, trying to get inside the service box here, he's hesitating a little bit. And then he's just too late to move forward. And you see also that his racket is not in a ready position. I would love to have that up in front of his body here. And then it's not a very easy ball as a transition volley here from behind the service box. As approach shots, you want to pick balls when you're making contact inside the baseline that will then allow you to actually cover that distance from back here to inside the service box. So again, that little hint that my dad gave me, both feet have to be inside the baseline, otherwise you're not allowed to come in, that still really works. Now, I did ignore that tip a whole lot of times, and I lost many, many points that way. And I'm pretty sure I probably would have learned that a lot faster had I watched myself on video, just like you should. Now, you picked the right ball, you've committed. It's a full go. It's not this. Is that in or out? And then go. Because by the time that you actually decided that the ball is one that you want to follow up in, it's way too late and you're never going to make it into your ideal volley position. If you're combining those two components, you'll see that your actual volley is good enough to be very successful at net when you're in the right position. And that puts an unbelievable amount of pressure on your opponent, because all of a sudden they now have to worry about passing you with very precise shots. And at this point, I also want to give a huge shout out and thank you to all the SwingVision subscribers who submitted videos. Let me know down in the comment what another shot is that you want me to analyze in one of the upcoming videos.